911, what's the address of the emergency? There's two people in the car here. They both look like they've been shot.
We didn't know what we were dealing with. We didn't know if it was a robbery or if this was just a fight that ended up in a shooting.
He's there for about a minute, and then you hear 5 gunshots.
Who was the driver of the car?
So initially it was James Worthy, but he switched from the name James Worthy to Jessica Harlan.
We're chasing a double homicide suspect.
Hi, I'm Nancy O'Dell, and today's Crime Exposé brings us to the city of Aurora, Colorado, just 10 miles east of Denver. Known as the gateway to the Rocky Mountains, the picturesque Denver suburb was rocked when a husband and a wife were found murdered in a quiet residential community. The brutal crime left a shattered family searching for answers and investigators following the trail of the killer. The date was August 14th. It was almost midnight when Aurora police received a 911 call from a concerned security officer.
911, what's the address of the emergency? Hi, I'm at Cherokee 1 apartment or condo complexes in Aurora. There's two people in the car here. We're going to check on them, but they both look like they've been shot. I think they're both unresponsive.
The officer and her partner had heard several gunshots while patrolling the housing complex and saw a dark-colored SUV speed past them and leave the parking lot.
They actually had a dash camera on their vehicle. When they saw that, that's when they went to the crashed vehicle, called 911. They immediately got back into their vehicle.
They tried to chase down the dark SUV to no avail.
When we initially arrived, we didn't know what we were dealing with. We didn't know if it was a robbery or if it was going to be a domestic violence, and maybe we had some, ex-boyfriends or ex-girlfriends involved, or if this was just a fight that ended up in a shooting.
Aurora police found the victim's white Honda SUV with the engine still running and the driver's side window rolled down.
The car was still in drive. The only reason it wasn't going forward was because it had crashed into a pole right next to one of the garages for that apartment complex.
Inside the car, they found the lifeless body of a man in the driver's seat and a woman seated beside him.
They had their wallet, their purse inside the vehicle, so they're able to figure out who those two individuals were. Joseph Roland and his wife Jocelyn Roland were the two victims.
What injuries did they have?
Joe had been shot 3 times from the driver's side window, so he had 3 bullet holes in him from that direction, and then Jocelyn Roland had 2 shots in her also from that same direction.
The victims were rushed to the hospital where they were both pronounced deceased.
Not until the 2 victims were pronounced at the hospital did we know that it was going to be a double homicide.
As police canvassed the immediate area, they found evidence left by the suspect.
We found several 9mm shell casings.
There were 4 shell casings inside the driver's side seat on the floorboard, and there was 1 shell casing outside of that vehicle.
Inside the Roland's car, they located a white envelope stuffed with cash.
On the center console, there was an envelope that had $5K written on it from Bank of America. Inside that, there was still some money. There was about $1,300, but the majority of that money was missing.
There was obviously cash missing, and so now we're starting to build on the elements of the crime. Was this a robbery? Who was involved?
And investigators found more confusing clues in the car.
And inside the car located a vehicle title to another vehicle that was not the white Honda.
Aurora police immediately began canvassing the area, and while no one saw the crime occur, they secured surveillance video.
One of the videos that we collected from one of the neighbors' Ring camera actually had audio. We couldn't hear conversation, but we could watch 2 cars meeting. We could watch Joseph and Jocelyn arrive in the white Honda. We could see the dark-colored SUV
Only one person is seen getting out of the dark SUV and walking back towards the Roland's car.
It's too dark and it's too far away to see any identifying features of that individual.
And so we didn't really have a suspect description that we could put out.
There seems to be a brief exchange during a few seconds of silence before gunfire erupts. The unidentified person then runs back into the dark SUV and speeds away.
After that happens, the white Honda crashes into the garage.
The video offered investigators few clues about the suspect's identity, but you could see defining characteristics of the getaway car.
We could not see the license plate of the vehicle, but what we could see were pretty distinctive rims on the vehicles. The hubcaps on the wheels were pretty distinctive, and so we were able to kind of take the outline of the vehicle and the distinctive rims and kind of develop a profile of what the vehicle might be at that point. She kind of took a deep breath and composed herself, and then all of a sudden said, "My dad flips cars, and I know he and my stepmom went out to look at a car to try to buy it."
While investigators continued canvassing the crime scene area, the family of Joseph and Jocelyn Roland was just learning the devastating news of their loss. 39-year-old Joseph was an operations manager, and 40-year-old Jocelyn was a firm administrator at a local law office. The couple had been married for 13 years and left behind 5 children.
That was probably one of the hardest notifications that I've had to make.
When police showed up at their doorstep, the Rolands' oldest daughter, Madison, came to the door.
Imagine a high school age girl, and there's 2 detectives that you've never met before at your front door at 4 a.m.
Detective Jamie Krieger had the grim task of sharing the news to Madison that her parents had been murdered.
When we got there, I had informed Madison that her dad and her stepmom had been killed, and that we were the detectives on scene that were trying to investigate what had happened, and asking for any information that she might have had about where they were going or what they were doing.
Amazingly, the Rolands' daughter knew exactly where her parents were that night.
She kind of all of a sudden said, "My dad flips cars on Craigslist, and I know he and my stepmom went out to look at a car to try to buy it." She was able to provide not only the location that they were supposed to go to, but what kind of car they were looking at.
The Rolands' daughter told detectives about the online application her parents had used for the purchase.
It was Let Go, which is an app, kind of like a marketplace that you can post items for sale or for trade. So she was able to...
With access to Joseph's cell phone, investigators were able to access more details about the car deal.
They found that Let Go application, and they found a communication with an individual by the name of James Worthy.
The seller, James Worthy, was selling a dark blue RAV4, similar to the one seen in the surveillance video.
So we were pretty sure at that point we'd located the ad in question, the ad that Joseph and Jocelyn had left the residence that night to go and explore.
It was marked at $5,000, so significantly undervalued, and that's what kind of lured Joe into starting that conversation with him.
So when they had that conversation, what information was exchanged between Joe and James?
That conversation was asking about what was wrong with the vehicle, who the vehicle belonged to, did that individual have a title, how quickly could he sell it.
They eventually agreed to meet in person to complete the purchase.
Joe Roland asked if they could meet at some place that was well lit, and suggested that they meet outside the Southlands Shopping Center, outside of a Petco, which the individual on the other end of the Let Go app agreed.
So did they actually meet there?
We were able to get video from that shopping center showing that they were at that location, but we didn't know at that moment how they got from that shopping center to that apartment complex or why they got there.
Fortunately for investigators, the Let Go ad also included detailed information about the RAV4, which was for sale.
So when you list a vehicle for sale on Let Go, you post the make, the model, the year and the VIN number. And so we were able to clear the VIN number, and we discovered that the Aurora Police Department had actually seized the vehicle the night of the homicide, not knowing that that vehicle was associated to the double homicide that we were investigating.
It was a surprising and stunning new lead for investigators.
So now we kind of had to take a couple of steps back and try to figure out how it got there.
And what they learned made them confident they were on the right track.
About a couple miles north of where the murder occurred, we found that Toyota RAV4. It was attempted to be lit on fire. So the interior of that vehicle, the seat was burned, the steering wheel was burned, the roof was burned, but it did not light the whole thing on fire.
The abandoned car was discovered hours after the murder, and police soon learned it had also been reported stolen about 5 days earlier, before the Rolands' murder.
So we had that vehicle in police custody. We were doing testing on that vehicle, but we could see on Let Go that he was still trying to sell that vehicle.
The seller had changed their name, but the car for sale was the same RAV4 sitting in the police impound lot.
So initially it was James Worthy, but he switched from the name James Worthy to Jessica Harlan. But both James Worthy and Jessica Harlan were the exact same accounts.
Police believe they were now dealing with a dangerous con artist.
The very first thing we tried to do was try to do a sting. So we got an undercover officer, got a Let Go account, and started communicating with James Worthy to try to buy that vehicle, so hopefully we could apprehend him.
And did you have any success?
Initially, we thought we were going to have success. So he started communicating with us, talked about a place to meet up.
But right at the last minute, the deal went south.
He just went silent. He stopped communicating with us, and we had no idea what happened or why, or if he got spooked or what happened.
When we told him that no, we actually had a valid arrest warrant for him and wanted to talk to him about a shooting, he didn't seem surprised.
Investigators had unsuccessfully tried to lure the con artist who had tricked the Rolands into purchasing a stolen car. They now turned to the online source of the fraudulent ad for answers.
When we wrote the warrant to Let Go to get all of the account information, what we were asking for was identifying information like names or dates of birth. And so what we got back was an email with a name in it.
So whose name was associated with the account?
And that turned out to be Kyrie Brown. So we knew that the James Worthy name that he was using was an alias.
So who was Kyrie Brown?
Kyrie was an 18-year-old kid at that point.
As investigators poured through his phone records, a clear picture of his movement came into focus.
That phone that belonged to Kyrie Brown was located at the scene where that Toyota RAV4 was stolen. That phone was also located at the location at the date and time of the murder of Joe and Jocelyn Roland. And then also we found that that phone was located at the location, at the date and time where that car was lit on fire.
Police were now confident Kyrie Brown was their prime suspect. But locating Brown wouldn't be easy.
Kyrie was homeless or without residence and was couch surfing and staying with friends.
Eventually, investigators were able to use phone data to locate him.
Given the fact that, one, he had murdered 2 people, and 2, that he was actively on Let Go trying to sell another vehicle, and there was significant danger. So we were able to get a warrant to get live data from that phone number.
Brown was tracked down in North Aurora.
We had contacted Kyrie Brown before. We had a mugshot of him. So investigators on scene were able to look at a mugshot and look at the person in front of them and say, yes, this is Kyrie, he's here, his phone ping is valid.
But just as they were circling in on him, Brown slipped away. Officers were led on a high-speed chase to Denver.
It's a very heavy traffic area. The speeds were high. They were running red lights. Other vehicles and other people were in the area, and so it was not a safe situation at all. And we're chasing a double homicide suspect.
It eventually ended with officers doing a pit maneuver.
On the Willow, southbound Willow from Lake Ratched out. Get him, Tone. Here you go, Tone. Here you go, Tone. Contact. We can't wait here. Tell him we make contact.
That's where they basically ram part of that vehicle to make it stop, and that's where they busted out the windows and apprehended Kyrie Brown at gunpoint.
Don't move! Don't you move! Don't move! Stand down! Stand down! Don't move your hands! Roll on your stomach! Roll on your stomach! Right here, pig.
Brown was arrested for murdering the Rolands. Detective Jamie Krieger interviewed Kyrie Brown.
He's an 18-year-old kid and had been living on the streets for a little bit, and so he was street smart. He didn't seem at all intimidated by my partner and I.
They asked him about the murder, and at first he denied any knowledge of it whatsoever.
Brown finally acknowledged he stole the car when police told him they could link his phone number and his email to the phony Let Go account.
And then he came clean on that, saying that yes, he did steal that vehicle, he did post it for sale, but he knew nothing about the murder.
And what would you say if I said I had information otherwise, that you did go to Southlands and you met this guy?
Yeah, I'd like to see that too.
Okay. Did you go to Southlands and meet this guy?
Yeah.
He admitted he was selling the vehicle to get money, but didn't say that he was the one who killed him, said it was somebody else.
Seeing the video of the murder finally broke him down.
So what was his version of what happened that night?
So they first met at that shopping center, and when they're trying to do that transaction, Joe Roland asked for the title of that vehicle. So obviously he did not have the title to that vehicle. But what he told Joe Roland was that he forgot it when he went to the shopping center, and that if he followed him back to that apartment complex, that he could get him the title of that vehicle.
Brown seemed distraught and chose his words carefully when describing the murder.
You grabbed my arm, slash shot. I'm sorry? You grabbed my arm, slash shot.
The Rolands had no idea the car was stolen when they went to meet him, and Brown explained that he did not intend to shoot them.
Kyrie had attempted to rob Jocelyn and Joseph at gunpoint, and Joseph grabbed his arm and Kyrie shot him. And so during the interview with this 18-year-old kid, he confessed to murdering 2 people.
Brown's story was consistent with the evidence police had collected from the stolen RAV4.
Prosecutors built a solid case against Brown. In addition to his DNA found in the stolen car, Brown's fingerprints were located on the car title he had given Joseph Roland.
Brown's confession tied together all the pieces of evidence in the case. After an emotional 2-week trial, 18-year-old Kyrie Brown was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, motor vehicle theft, arson, and bait advertising.
On January the 4th, Kyrie Brown was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. And now it's time for our safety spotlight. The tragic case of Joseph and Jocelyn Roland highlights the potential dangers associated with meeting individuals in person after conducting online transactions. To mitigate the risk of harm, robbery, or worse, arrange to meet during daylight hours in areas with high visibility and surveillance, such as a grocery store parking lot or a police or sheriff station. Avoid conducting transactions at night. Always select the meeting place yourself, and whenever possible, avoid cash transactions. Utilize secure online payment methods to reduce the risk associated with handling cash. And remember, no transaction or item is worth risking your safety. Preparation is the utmost key to securing your personal security. For all of us here at Crime Exposé, please join us next time and stay safe.